announced candidates are for the 4 Board of Supervisors seats that are up for this year. And then if you're here tonight, you probably pay attention somewhat to politics, but the state of Virginia did a redistricting this past year. So everything's kind of brand new. The turnover in Richmond this year is going to be insane. It's probably might be at 50% now. If it's not, it's very close to 50% of all the people are gone. So that means all the experience, all the institutional knowledge is going to be kind of replaced by, half of it anyway, by new people. So we have an opportunity to make a statement for that. Where we are in the Frederick County, Winchester, Clarkish area, there are 2 House districts now, 31 and 32, and we will hear from candidates for those tonight. So if I've got my geography right, 32 is kind of like northern Frederick County and city of Winchester. And then 31 is kind of southern Frederick County, front rural Strasburg, and some Clark County stuff, I think, mixed in there. And then Senate 1, so the new Senate district is now actually a valley district now, okay? For my whole lifetime, as long as I can pay attention, our Senate for the state of Virginia has been represented by someone who basically is Northern Virginia, and they're like, oh yeah, in Frederick County, Winchester. So we now will actually have someone who represents the Shenandoah Valley, which is really great because we need it bad. So, all right, everybody on board with all that? So what I'm going to do now is get started with District 32. Both candidates are here tonight, and I appreciate that. So first candidate I will introduce is going to be Bill Wiley. So Bill is running for the 32nd District as a Republican. He's a business development manager for Howard Shockey & Sons, an associate broker with Oak Crest Commercial Real Estate. He has a master's in education in science and economics from George Mason University. He's married to Katie and has 3 sons, Clark, Stewart, and Dawson. He's currently the representative in the House of Delegates for what used to be the 29th District. He's on the Transportation Committee, the DMV Subcommittee Chairman. He's been on he's on the Public Safety Committee, the Finance Committee. He's been on the House Education Committee, Communications, Innovation, and Technology. Prior to his service in the House, he was on City Council from 17 to 18. He was the council president. He was vice chairman before that of the Winchester-Frederick County Metropolitan Planning Organization. He was on the Northern Shenandoah Valley Regional Jail Board, Northern Shenandoah Valley Regional Commission board member. Prior to that, he spent several years on the Winchester Planning Commission, the last part of that as chairman, and he was on the Board of Zoning Appeals. Bill's campaign platform as your delegate: I will fight for our fair share of tax dollars from Richmond, work to repeal unfunded mandates on our localities, create a better job climate, oppose collective bargaining, and push for common sense policies that will make the Commonwealth a better place to live, work, and raise a family. His website is electbillwiley.com. His passions are hunting, fishing, snow skiing, and fun fact, I did ask everybody if they could provide a fun fact. Some of them did. He says, my sister, mother, and grandfather are or were Democrats, and we all get along just fine. So that's good to see. So Bill, where Bill got off to, but, oh, there he is, sorry. Come on up, please welcome Bill Wiley. Sorry, I didn't see you.
Oh, that should be okay. Yeah, what, 258? That's okay. Good evening. My name is Bill Wiley, in case you haven't been told by Josh. I currently serve as your delegate for the 29th District. I'm now running for the same seat, serving the great new 32nd District. Thank you to Josh, Patty, and Jared for allowing me to be here and inviting me to talk and to see everybody. I appreciate it, and wow, what a great crowd. I'm so honored and excited about running for re-election to the House of Delegates. I've always believed in service above self. I'm not here to win a popularity contest, so I get my name in the paper. Rather, I'm here to roll up my sleeves and continue working on your behalf as your state representative. Since I started serving as your delegate in 2020, I will continue executing my platform for you and specifically opposing higher taxes from the state, especially unfunded mandates, working with businesses to create jobs and assist with workforce employment expansion, assisting in economic development opportunities to offer more revenue for our area, and expanding employment opportunities for businesses while being mindful of preserving our precious farmland. I will continue standing for law enforcement and expanding mental health support, These two areas go hand in hand, and I'm exasperated by the COVID crisis. My core beliefs still stand true: defending our constitutional rights, putting parents first with education, and protecting life of the unborn. I look forward to meeting more of the constituents in this newly drawn district. My door is always open, and I encourage you to reach out to me regarding matters involving the state and how we can implement policy to better benefit our district. We live in one of the best places in the Commonwealth, and I foresee great things coming in this community. Thank you very much. I would appreciate your vote. Please don't forget to set your calendars. Early voting has already started, and Election Day is on November 7th, in case you didn't know. If you'd like a yard sign and/or a bumper sticker, we have some around here, one of the tables, and we'll get one for you. Thank you very much, and God bless.
All right. Also for District 32, running as a Democrat, is Maddie Rodriguez. Maddie's lived in Winchester for over 30 years. She has 2 teen daughters who attend Hanley High School and a spouse of 25 years. She's originally from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and of Mexican and Puerto Rican heritage. She's fluent in both English and Spanish and proud to be a first-generation American. Maddie's a product of Winchester Public Schools. She obtained her associate's from what is now Laurel Ridge, a bachelor's from Old Dominion University, and her master's in human services from Walden University. Maddie is a service coordinator at the Village at Orchard Ridge and employed as a discharge planner at Winchester Medical Center with over 18 years in the medical field. For the last 27 years, she has worked with adults and currently does this through Laurel Ridge Community College. In addition, she's an adjunct professor teaching first-year seminar students at Shenandoah University. She has over 25 years' experience working in the local early intervention program, which provides in-home services to families of children with disabilities. Maddie was on Winchester City Council in 2022 and is currently on Winchester City Planning Commission. She's a board member for numerous organizations and heavily involved in the community, such as F&M Bank, NAACP, president of the Winchester Education Foundation, Opportunity Scholars, I'm Just Me Movement is a mentoring program, Winchester Main Street Foundation, Celebration Winchester, the Frederick Douglass Park Club Family Day, and CCAP, which is Congressional Community Action Project. She's a member of Winchester Rotary. She's endorsed by Equality Virginia, Virginia Police Benevolent Association, AFL-CIO, Virginia Now, and People for the American Way, among others. Please welcome Maddie Rodriguez.
I'm like looking at that clock really quick. Is it going to go off? Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for having me. I'm Maddie Rodriguez. I've dedicated my life's work to the 5 foundations of my platform: economic empowerment, the pursuit of happiness, which is written into our Constitution, is only possible if people are able to meet their basic needs and have economic stability to realize their dreams. People should be able to work 40 hours a week and have economic stability that makes it possible to support themselves and their families. In regards to education, our children and future generations must have access to equal opportunities, level the playing field, offer universal pre-K, create and increase pathways to higher education, and vocational and trade programs. Ensure parent and teacher collaboration. Let's focus on maximizing that financial support needed back into our localities to meet the needs of our growing population. In healthcare, healthy people equal healthy and thriving communities. Equal access for all individuals of every age to medical care and mental health services, regardless of economic status, race, or sexual orientation. Expand services for at-risk and minority populations, and especially ensure availability and access to services for our veterans. Today's healthcare improvements will impact future generations. In regards to safe neighborhoods, as a U.S. American, I support the Second Amendment that protects legal and responsible gun owners and requires gun safety measures. As a community, we want to honor life and ensure freedom. Aside from firearms, however, safe communities also means that we pay attention to our roads and infrastructure. Funds need to come back to our area to support the ongoing demand for safer roads and access points. In regards to a clean environment, my children, your children, and our grandchildren deserve to have access to clean water, clean air, and our responsibility is to protect it. I'm not here today with an aggressively radical speech. I'm speaking from experience. I see firsthand the needs of patients in our hospital, and I've had direct access in the homes of families throughout this community, Frederick County and the city. So I know the challenges and barriers that many face. It's not rhetorical, it's actual and factual. The freedom we are proud to have is fragmented for many members in our community. My platform rests on common sense and coming to a common ground. It is not an I or me platform, but more of an us and we platform. We coexist and are dependent on each other in every aspect of our lives. So we must think about how our decisions and choices affect those around us. Change comes from us working together, not working against each other. We are all here tonight because we value our freedom and exercising our rights. I'm running because I never tire of using my voice to impact change, and I believe citizens should have choices, especially when it comes to representing their community. It has been said that with freedom comes responsibility. The most basic element of responsibility is respect for ourselves and respect for one another. We not always are going to agree with each other, but as a delegate, we will always do our best to create opportunities for all of us to be heard and shown respect as we work together in the care and betterment of District 32. Maddie for Virginia. Thank you.
Thank you guys for that. So now we're going to move on to 31. All righty. So there are 3 candidates actually going to be on the ballot for 31. We have one physically here tonight, and one, Dolores Oates, sent her stuff in that Patty's going to read, I believe. So I will go get that one done, and then I will have candidate Grace come up here in just a moment. So Dolores Oates is running for House 31. Dolores is a lifelong resident, active community member in Warren County in the beautiful Shenandoah Valley. She believes that life is full of opportunity and that we need leaders who understand our history, represent our values, and ensure the future results in a brighter tomorrow for all Virginians. Dolores loves Jesus, her family, her rescue dogs, and the Constitution. She's running to represent Warren, Clark, and parts of Frederick County in the House of Delegates, and I'm going to ask Patty Solenberger to come up and read Dolores' prepared remarks. Thank you.
I'm Dolores Oates, Republican candidate for the House of Delegates in District 31, which is the home to most of Warren, all of Clark, and southern Frederick County. I'm a lifelong member of this district, and my life has been deeply rooted in service to others. Many things set me apart in this political field. I'm uniquely qualified with a degree in government and experience in policymaking. I have served people in every capacity. I've mentored teen mothers, I've guided business owners through the web of bureaucracy, and I've led the effort to establish a drug rehabilitation court in Warren County. I have kept my faith and family close as I navigated the life of a political public servant. In short, I pray a lot. Today I'm going to talk to you about 3 main points that are central to my campaign: education, small business, and the Constitution. Our children are our future, and an investment in them always pays dividends. As the mother of 3 boys, I saw firsthand how each of my sons learned differently. The one-size-fits-all approach to education is creating kids that feel like failures when they really just haven't been exposed to their strengths. My sons learned best when they were creating and experimenting. We need to allow our children to build and create things, and we need to allow experimenting. With that in mind, I plan to explore legislation that will expose children to the trades in elementary school. Helping children find their gifts and talents should be a primary goal of education. Not all children go to college, and the trades are just as important as a degree. The Constitution of Virginia provides that parents have full authority over the upbringing of their own children. No institution, be it a government, a school, a library, should have the ability to undermine parental authority. Children belong to their parents, not to the state. As your delegate, I will defend this fundamental right. Parents and parents alone are responsible for making decisions about what is best for their children. This includes exposure to themes of a sexual nature, especially sexually explicit books, gender ideology, and graphic sexual content. I will support policies that ensure parental decisions are honored by all taxpayer-funded institutions. I plan to explore legislation that supports enforcement of discipline in our classrooms. Teachers need to teach so students can learn, and I wholeheartedly support that mission. I will work with our school boards to pursue rigorous academic standards in core subjects, and I also will prioritize our career and technical education paths. We should be leading the state with our access to agriculture and small business connections, not trailing. Speaking of small business, everyone in this room knows that every business is essential. Small business is the backbone of this community and this country. It is local business owners like yourselves that are building and supplying our communities every day. I have always been an advocate for business owners who have chosen to invest in our community. Recently, I celebrated with 2 young female entrepreneurs, 21 years of age, on their opening day and participated in the celebration of the lasting legacy and heritage of another. My own father ran a business in Frederick County for 48 years, and I understand the risk and the reward. In my role as Warren County Supervisor, I worked with local business owners when government overreach attempted to prevent them from turning a profit or, in some cases, from opening. In Richmond, I will be a friend to our local business owners, exploring ways to take the heavy hand of the state government out of the process. Our country was founded on the strong principles outlined in the Constitution. I am a constitutional conservative, and for those that doubt the testament of this document, let me make it clear. It doesn't have to be rewritten, it has to be reread. As your delegate, I will uphold the framework of our Constitution, and I will ensure that the power of government does not creep into our thriving communities and businesses. Make no mistake, it is the Second Amendment that secures the rest of the Bill of Rights, and I will support your right to constitutional carry. It has been my pleasure to serve Warren County on the Board of Supervisors and to get to know many of you in this room. If you don't know me, I love hard work and I have a passion for community building. I apologize I couldn't be here in person to win your support, as my supervisor meetings are on Tuesday nights. I would like to extend a hand to those of you I haven't met yet to continue to build connections and to make sure you know that in Richmond, I will stand with you. Feel free to reach out to me at doloresfordelegate.com. Please vote for Dolores Oates, Republican candidate for the House of Delegates, District 31.
Thank you, Patty. Our next candidate is Grace Morrison, who is also running for District 31 as an independent. Grace is as an independent conservative, born in Newport Beach, California, and she was to her Virginia-born, raised mother, and then moved back to Virginia at 2 years old. She has spent the majority of her life in the Commonwealth. Grace is a devout Christian who holds the Word of God as the plumb line for her life and holds the U.S. and Virginia constitutions as the plumb lines for evaluating just legislation. A graduate of Evangel University in Springfield, Missouri, Grace holds a bachelor's in biblical studies and philosophy with a concentration in sociology and music performance. She's a wife, mom, educator. She is running as a principled representative of the people rather than a party affiliate whose loyalty is mandated by partisan power plays. Please welcome Grace Morrison.
Good evening. It is a privilege to be here at the Small Business Freedom Alliance. Your reputation precedes you. You are a valiant group of watchmen manning the bulwark of constitutional liberties as it pertains to the backbone and infrastructure of our national economy. That is small businesses that make America the great beacon of hope and liberty that we are to the world. My name is Grace Morrison, and I've lived in Virginia, as you've heard, for most of my life. We moved to the Shenandoah Valley over 12 years ago, and our 2 youngest sons were born here, and we are so happy to call District 31 home. I am a lifelong Republican, And I'm running as a conservative independent in this race because the time has come for the people to have true representation rather than recycled replicas, which ultimately end up serving political partisan hierarchies and corporate donors over the moms, dads, and small business owners and others they pledge to protect. I think of all the places I've spoken, this is a room of activated citizens who know that we are living in unprecedented times. And no one knows the impact of this global crisis and conflict better than the front lines of our communities whose essential services to our families were jeopardized overnight in March of 2020, when illegal mandates attempted to debilitate our economy, welfare, and independence. Those same threats have not ridden off into the sunset, but instead have reframed, repackaged, and redirected to form other methods by which to divide and conquer us from within and without. I am here not to convince you that I'm the best candidate, but that you are. There is not one person on this ballot sufficient to replace our government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is with great sobriety that I approach this role as your trustee and steward. We will need to band together to protect our communities and Commonwealth from the global enterprises whose talents have reached further into our systems than any of us want to admit. I'm committed to creating transparent lines and fostering communication between you and myself. As it pertains to education, free enterprise, speech, public safety, faith, and other issues that we are facing, I can assure you, I will not rely on any personal leaning or sentiment, but rather firmly stand on the foundation of what is written. Thank you.
All right, we can now move to the Senate. So this is, our new district is now Senate District 1. There are 2 candidates for that seat, and one of them is here tonight. We did invite all candidates, by the way, but didn't spend a lot of time trying to chase people down that didn't want to answer my email, so I don't want people to think we cherry-picked who got to be here and who didn't. Anyway, candidate Timmy French is in the audience tonight. He's going to come up and talk to us, so he's running for Senate 1. Timmy's a hardworking, driven, compassionate candidate who's ready to bring his vast experience running a profitable business within the agriculture industry and knowledge of community concerns to Richmond. Born and raised in Woodstock, Virginia, Timmy's life has been rooted in family, farming, and diligent service. Balancing profitability with environmentally sound choices are priorities for Timmy as a co-owner of his family multi-generational French Brothers Dairy and Springdale Farms. He and his close-knit family have always strived to leave the land better than they found it. Since Timmy's early days as FFA president in Shenandoah Valley Central High School, he knows the importance of agricultural and commercial enterprises. From a young age, he learned long-term strategic planning to adapt to changing market conditions, technology, and customer preferences for profitability. He learned how to voice his concerns within the local government. This continues to the present. With the highest American FFA degree and 8 years of service on the Shenandoah County Agricultural and Forestal District Advisory Committee, Timmy has a wealth of experience when it comes to community service. As president of the Shenandoah County Farm Bureau Board, he made community growth a top priority. Timmy's honesty, drive for success, and ability to do well under pressure make him the ideal candidate for the 1st Senate District. The concerns of others have his ready ear. He eagerly educates himself on the issues facing today's world and stands firm for his beliefs. Compassion for others and his belief in the importance of respect and discipline are Timmy French values. As a product of a strong family, he understands the importance of parents in a child's education. As a father of 3 and a product of public schools, Timmy's passionate about the success of students, teachers, and all employees. He brings a wealth of agriculture and industry expertise and the unique concerns of our community to serve as Senator for the 1st Senate District. Our voices will be heard and our concerns will be addressed with Timmy French as 1st District Senator. Please welcome to the stage Timmy French.
Thank you, and thank you to the Small Business Freedom Alliance. As he said, my name is Timmy French. Good evening. I'm a Republican nominee for the Virginia State Senate District 1. I am the youngest of 9, and that's important because we all have to get along and sit down at the same table and eat and carry on, even though your older brother didn't like what you did or something like that. So it's important in this candidacy, I feel. I was born and raised in Shenandoah County. I'm a farmer and I'm proud of it. I own and operate a multi-generational diversified farm with my brothers in Woodstock. We have 14 employees, including myself, 7 of which are not family members. People ask me, why am I running for Senate? I love this valley. I love the people of this valley. I love my family and friends, and I care about our children. I understand this district like none other, and I can fight for our values that are important to our community. As a Republican, of course, I stand for the Second Amendment Bill of Rights, and I will stand with Governor Youngkin on his pro-life agenda. And I will work hard to lower our taxes. In addition, I feel there are some other areas that we need to focus on in Richmond. First of what I foremost feel that I'll be the best at will be agriculture. It's our #1 private industry in the state of Virginia. We need someone in Richmond who understands agriculture and can advocate for our farmers. Education. I will work hard to have a quality K-12 education system for our children. We need to get respect and discipline back into our schools. It's important to give parents a voice and a choice in their child's education. Mental health and opioid crisis plague our communities. We need to help our friends, our family, and our neighbor in this part of our society. They need to get the right help, and we need to help them now. This is an issue within our community that affects our law enforcement agencies and many other public services. Transportation. We need to make sure we have a voice in Richmond advocating for improvements on 81 and our secondary roads. We need to stop talking and get started doing some stuff to help this alleviate our congestions. In short, we need a smaller, smarter government, plain and simple. We need to protect our rural values and our way of life. We need someone that knows our district and is ready to work for us. I'm a conservative farmer and businessman from the Valley for the Valley. Although I don't have legislative experience, I feel confident that I'm capable and ready to represent this district in Richmond. I'm honest, respectful, and communicate well with others. I'm asking for your vote on November the 7th, if y'all haven't heard that already, that's Election Day, or before. So tell your friends and family to come out and vote, and I look forward to serving you all in the future. Thank you very much.
All right, so that concludes our state races for tonight. Thank all the candidates and those who spoke on their behalf. So we're going to move right into the local Board of Supervisors races. There are 4 of them. We'll go ahead and do the first one that we drew, and then we will move on to a quick intermission, and then we'll do the final 3. So there's 2 candidates for each of those seats, and they are all here tonight. So I'm excited to hear from everyone. Except with the exception of one, Heather Hewitt Lockridge was not able to attend tonight, so she sent in a statement on, and I will go ahead and read that for her. First, though, her bio, Miss Lockridge is a lifetime resident of Frederick County, growing up on a farm in the Gainesboro district. She was born in the old Winchester Hospital, graduated from Jameswood High School in 2003. She earned a bachelor's degree in agriculture and applied economics from Virginia Tech, a master's degree in special education from George Mason University. She married her best friend Chris in 2010, and they have 3 children. Mrs. Lockridge is uniquely qualified to represent Gainesboro District's farmers, businessmen, parents, and teachers alike. She and her husband continue to help with farming while also operating a small business in the Redbud District. She's a staunch advocate for small business rights. Mrs. Lockridge was the overwhelming choice of Republicans in the special election primary to replace Supervisor Doug McCarthy, winning 80% of the vote. She then won a special election against her opponent and sits on the County Board of Supervisors as Gainesboro's representative. Her election to the board assured that those opposing tax increases had a majority, preventing the increase in real property taxes of more than 20%. Supervisor McCarthy endorsed her then and continues to endorse her now as the best choice for Gainesboro. Mrs. Lockridge is running to ensure conservative Valley values are preserved, taxes are kept low, and county government remains small, transparent, and accountable. So that's her bio. Here's her prepared remarks. Sorry y'all get to hear my voice some more. Apologize for that. Thank you all for inviting me to speak at the Small Business Freedom Alliance. I'm a small business owner myself, and I am a rock-solid voter for personal and business rights. I have voted to support new and expanding business applications that have come to the board during my tenure, and will continue to do so unless they infringe directly on someone else's property rights. I do not believe the Board of Supervisors should make decisions based upon their personal opinions, but instead should have the property rights of businesses and individuals as their sole criterion. The Board of Supervisors should never play politics with your livelihoods. That goes double for conflicts of interest on the board. Unlike my opponent, I do not draw my livelihood from the county, so I do not ever need to recuse myself from votes. My livelihood does not depend upon county contract or salary, so my votes will never face a conflict of interest. I also believe that the government should deliver on its projects on time and under budget, just as businesses have to deliver under the terms of their contracts. I will judge the performance of county departments on that standard, including large projects like the expansion of Jameswood High School, which my opponent is responsible for. Regarding apparent conflicts of interest, I must address this issue of the old Taylor School property sale. There are politically motivated rumors going around that my family stood to gain from that sale since my brother was involved in the acquisition. This is dirty politics. My brother has done well in life and is making a donation to Eucharia School to buy and renovate the old Taylor property. The purchase was clearly conditioned as a donation, and the final contract says that he will turn over the property to the school within 18 months without consideration. That means not only can he not profit, he cannot get any money or other benefit in return for his donation. Only in politics is a $300,000 donation used as an attack on reputations. Shame on those who make personal attacks for political gain. The County Board of Supervisors unanimously opposed the sale of the old Taylor School to home developers. This is because the area is already congested and contains some of our most crowded schools. It was first discussed with Frederick County Public Schools and other departments, but no one wanted the property, and it sat for 2 years vacant. County administration crunched numbers and told us that we would make millions of dollars from a sale to housing developers, but that it would be a net loss once road, school, and first responder costs were factored in. Instead of more congestion, we get a flourishing private school that will take some of the load off the county schools. We get a decade or more of continued use of the fields by County Parks and Rec, among other benefits. We're also guaranteed in the contract that if anything went wrong with the private school operation, the property could not be sold to developers, but will return to the county. The final 6-1 vote was faithful to the request of county voters, who asked us constantly to limit county growth to that which can be properly planned for. This is a win-win for the county. I encourage you to counter any rumors you hear about this with the facts. I will never support future lockdowns or limitations on business by the government. These should never be a government bureaucrat deciding which businesses are essential. You should not be burdened with additional regulations, as Frederick County is already one of the most regulated counties in the valley. Finally, I ask for your support in the November election. I believe I have the interest of all businesses and citizens at heart based on my experience. I believe I have proven my support and my record. I have no conflict of interest and I'm working hard for everyone. Thank you for your time. Okay, that's Heather Lockridge. All right. So also from the Gainsborough District is Mr. Kevin Kinney. And Kevin's in his bio. Kevin Kinney was born and raised in Frederick County, grew up on a farm. In 1976, he graduated from Jameswood High School and Dale J. Howard for the building trades. He served on many boards and committees in the area in his life, and those have served on are the Regional Advisory Committee for Vocational Education, the State Advisory Committee for Vocational Education, 20 years on the Shenandoah University Athletic Advisory Board. In 2001-2002 as chair of that board, 2 separate terms on the Top of Virginia Builders Association Board of Directors, Frederick County Development Review and Regulations Committee from 2004 to 2012, and from 2012 to 22, he's on the Frederick County Planning Commission, last 4 as chairman. Since 2022, he's been serving on the Transportation and Public Works Committees. Kevin has worked for 40-plus years in the construction field, specializing in commercial and industrial construction. Everything from hands-on, estimating, general manager, and project manager. The last 7 years, he's been employed by Frederick County Public Schools, with the last 5 years as supervisor of construction for capital projects. This is where experience makes a difference. Please welcome to the stage Kevin Kinney.
Thank you, everyone, and thank the Small Business Freedom Alliance for having us here tonight. Really appreciate it. I told Josh when I walked in tonight, my bio wasn't that spicy, so I needed him to juice it up some, so I think he did pretty good for what he had to work with. Again, we're short on time, and I see it's clicking away, and I will address some of the things that my opponent said there a little later, but just to get right to it, I did grow up on a farm, a couple ridges over here, right down the road from Josh's parents. We grew up in the same area, been a big advocate, and one of the things I will keep advocating for is the protection of our rural areas and support our farmers and ag people. Just like you're seeing in businesses here when it come before the Planning Commission years ago, this is one of the ways we supported our agricultural industry, giving them farm markets, giving them event centers, things like that to boost their bottom line, so to get them through the tough times. I will still keep advocating for that, and we still will find better and different ways to support our ag industry and our farmers. One of the big things, if you heard in my bio there, like you said, 40 plus years in the construction industry, I built commercial and industrial buildings. We built the buildings for small businesses. Our tagline on our company was, we build the business buildings that build your business. And my wife, 20 years small business owner, myself, I never worked for anyone else till I went to work for the school system to oversee the school's construction, is small businesses. So, but one of the things we need to do, and we need to keep doing here, is economic growth, is expand our industrial and business footprint. That helps keep this tax base low. We all know that. We can't keep burdening the taxpayer, the homeowners out here, but you can expand and get into the tools tax and what have you. So the next thing I've always pushed for is transportation. Is we need to get more dollars from the state. Serving on the Planning Commission, the different boards I've been on, and the Transportation Committee now, we're not getting our fair share. We can do better than this, and we can push not only work with our state representatives, but our Commonwealth Transportation Board and so we can work better to get those dollars here. One of the things I advocate is always a well-trained workforce. As you heard, I was vocational education. We need to get back vocational education in our schools, so we do have a well-trained workforce to go to work for those businesses that when we get them here. And so lastly, I'll just tell you that I'll bring my experience from all of my business management, negotiation skills, and what have you, to the bear at the county. And I know my opponent always speaks of conflict of interest. I have to recuse myself. The Virginia State Supreme Court ruled in 1980, Thomas Malcolm and Roger Kuntz, that you can serve and work for the county and you can vote on county business at the same time. So that has been handled through the Virginia State Supreme Court, so there's no conflict of interest, but I do know that it keeps coming up. It's on everyone's mind. But I do look forward to serving you. Thank you for the time. God bless, and everybody drive careful going home. Thank you.
Okay, so we have 3 more races to go through tonight for the Board of Supervisors. I had the Civil Air Patrol draw the order of districts, so the next one up is going to be Back Creek District. We have 2 candidates who are both here tonight. First candidate is for Back Creek Board of Supervisors under the Frederick first ticket is Mr. Greg Unger. Greg's been a home contractor, new and remodeling for 40 plus years. He's been on the Planning Commission for 18 years. He was chairman for Development Regulations and Board and the Sanitation Authority Liaison. He's raised 2 daughters here in Frederick County. He has 5 grandchildren, has a beagle named Mosby. For passions and hobbies, Greg listed hunting, fishing, car racing, enjoys car shows, and he enjoys family and being with friends. Please welcome Mr. Greg Unger.
Thank you, guys. I've been told to hold this mic up here because you can't hear me. So, okay, I'm not going to spend my 3 minutes running down my opponent. We all know some of the bad decisions that have been made in Frederick County recently, the Ayler School and the Laurel Ridge, to say the least. In preparing for tonight's decision, I'm going to speak of the motive why I want to be your supervisor in Back Creek. I don't have an agenda. I want the best for Back Creek, Frederick County, and our citizens. I do have skin in this game. Unlike some people, I was born and raised in Frederick County. I worked here my whole life, and I've retired in this community. And I appreciate our beautiful countryside, our neighbors, and the way of life, and I'm very much for preserving our farms and orchards. That means a lot to me. I know that we have to maintain a healthy balance between residents and business, but we also need to protect our agriculture partners. This is very important to me. I'm not a fan of solar panels, I'll tell you that up front. I know it's a temporary fix to keep the farms going, but I promise to find other uses for our beautiful farmland in Back Creek and Frederick County other than solar panels and subdivisions. We're about 2 generations away from our kids not knowing about cattle and apple butter making. Speaking of apple butter, we're going to make a batch Saturday at Apple Land on Route 11. If anybody wants to come down between 8 and 6 o'clock, everybody's welcome. Come out and talk to our team. They're going to be there. And you can also leave with a pint of apple butter when we get it done, too. I stand for supporting public schools, funding the police and the fire department. I think it's very important that we get our schools away from being 20% overcrowded. I think that's ridiculous, and we need to fix that. I want to find ways to stop the trailers. I don't think we should have trailers in schools at all, unless they're construction trailers, somebody working there. Trailers were meant to be a temporary fix, and now they're extending 10 years in life, which is ridiculous. I wanted the police, fire department, I want to have been neglected very much by the Board of Supervisors in the past several years, all on account of budget cuts, which I don't agree with. I think we need to support them more so. We need to revisit the way to bring them up to date with modern equipment without breaking our bank. I am Greg Unger, and when you do elect me, I will make sure farms and orchards have other agriculture-related avenues for income. I will work on repairing overcrowdedness of schools, and I will also ensure that our citizens have a safe and negative for fire and police departments. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it. Thank you, Greg. Also running in the Back Creek District as a Republican is Mr. John Jewell. John retired in the fall of 2019 after serving as the Assistant Sergeant at Arms, Chief Information Officer for the United States Senate after a career that spanned 40 years. Within the U.S. Senate Office of the Sergeant at Arms, he led strategic planning, oversaw information infrastructure, and managed IT support operations and personnel overseeing the Senate's data centers, telecommunications, cybersecurity, application and office system support, equipment services, IT help desk support, and IT support for continuity of operations, continuity of government. John managed an annual budget of over $100 million with more than 300 professional and technical staff and 250 contractors. John and his wife Susan have lived in the Back Creek District for over 27 years, where they raised their now adult son and daughter. They've been very active in community activities throughout the years, volunteering for 4-H, karate, swim league, church, etc. John and Susan have spent many years supporting different Apple Blossom events, and John is currently co-chair of the Apple Blossom Veterans Dinner event. He's also a beekeeper and does competition barbecue contests. John has supported several local charity events with his barbecue skills. John's currently in his second term as chairman of the Frederick County Planning Commission. He's served on the Planning Commission since 2020. He's committed to the opportunity of giving back to the community. He also serves on several committees, including liaison for the Transportation Committee, liaison for Frederick Water Comprehensive Plans and Programs Committee, Development Review and Regulations Committee, and is a member of the Information Technology Committee. John is a true believer in the Second Amendment and works security for his church. John and Susan feel blessed to live in the Back Creek District of Frederick County. Please welcome John Jewell.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Small Business Freedom Alliance, for this opportunity. Thank you all for coming out. Ironically, a year ago, in this very room, in front of the Small Business Freedom Alliance, I announced that I was running for the Board of Supervisors Back Creek District seat. At that time, I talked about bringing civility and common sense back to the Board of Supervisors. I'm here to tell you that's exactly what I want to do, is bring back civility and common sense. I'm running on 5 things: our children, transportation and roads, agriculture, small business, and public support of a sheriff and fire department. I've had 3 questions asked. What do you hope to accomplish when you're on the Board of Supervisors? What's in it for you? And why would you run? What do I hope to accomplish? I am all in for a fourth high school. We have got to get that built. We have over 615 kids over capacity, and it's going to grow. I've got the numbers if anybody wants to test me on this. We need to be managing smart growth. That is what the Board of Supervisors should be doing, is managing smart growth here. It's impacting our infrastructure, and it's got to happen. What's in it for me? My wife Susan and I have spent our last 27 years volunteering in the community. We love this community. We love the people in this community. I want to step forward as the leader for our community. That's what a Board of Supervisors should be doing. We should be leading. We should be in the community. We should be supporting small businesses. That is where we should be, and I'm not seeing it. Why would I do it? Look around you at the 30 and 20-somethings. My son and my daughter-in-law are sitting back there. They live in the Gainesboro district. I started teaching karate when kids were, I started teaching karate over 20 years ago. Kids were 5, 10, 15 years old. I'm now seeing these kids having their own kids. We need to be working for them, for their kids, for your grandchildren, for our future grandchildren. That's why I'm running. That's what I hope to accomplish. I'll be back in the corner back there. I've got yard signs. If you want to put a yard sign out, please come back and talk to me. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for supporting.
Thank you, John. So that was Back Creek. See number 3. I have these turned over, so it's a surprise to me too. All right, the Opequon District. So we have 2 candidates from the Opequon District here. And the first candidate is going to be Robin Cook. Robin is a Virginia native with strong family ties to Frederick County. Her education includes a doctorate in pharmacy. She practiced as a pharmacist for over 40 years. During this time, she was vice president for a chain of pharmacies where she managed multi-million-dollar budgets. She was program director at a local community college for a pharmacy technician training program. Before retirement, she spent time as a college professor at High Point University helping develop a new school of pharmacy. She's been an adjunct faculty for several major universities, including the University of Washington School of Medicine, University of North Carolina, Drake University, and the University of South Carolina. She sat on numerous community, state, and national level boards, including a state Medicaid advisory board. She's the mother of 2 daughters and the grandmother of 4 grandchildren. Her oldest daughter is a lobbyist for the National Cattlemen's Beef Association and is married to an Army reservist. Her younger daughter is married to an officer in the United States Air Force. In 2018, Robin retired, followed her dream of returning to her home state of Virginia and the beautiful Shenandoah Valley. Please welcome Robin Cook.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for coming out tonight to support the candidates. My name is Robin Cook, and I am running as the Republican candidate for the Board of Supervisors in the Opequon District. I'm a retired pharmacist, as you heard, with extensive experience in healthcare systems, small business, and education. In my career, I managed multi-million-dollar budgets, and I taught for several major universities and sat on numerous community, state, and national level boards, including a state Medicaid advisory board. Frederick County, as we know, is the fastest growing county in the state, with much of the growth occurring in the Opequon District. We have Lake Frederick area with a predicted 2,200 homes for retirees, as well as a large D.R. Horton development that's going to be adding another 690 homes. Planning efforts should enable the community to anticipate and deal constructively with changes occurring in the community. As the developers continue to build in Frederick County, we need to ask, are we building a community that will attract families as well as retirees, or are we continuing to build just for the economic value for developers? When elected, I will work to manage growth more effectively so our current citizens do not have to pay for county services needed to support these new developments. When elected, I will work to attract more commercial and industrial development to Frederick County to bolster our tax base. Commercial and industrial growth is economically important as it provides local jobs, and a stronger tax base. I am committed to doing all I can when elected to see that every child in Frederick County has access to a quality education, whether it be public or private. We need adequate capacity in our school buildings and an appropriate number of teachers to make this a reality. And I will work with the school board and the Board of Supervisors to see that this goal is fulfilled. A new fire station in our area has been a #1 priority on the capital improvement plan since 2006. The current supervisor never acted upon this until March of this year when he found that he had someone running against him. A second access road out of Lake Frederick was slated to be put in by the developer when the 1,000th home was built. This has now become a photo op for the current supervisor to make it look like he has been working for us. But after all these years, we still do not have the second entrance. Is this the person we need to represent Opequon? Throughout my career, I have never backed away from making hard decisions. I am ready to tackle the tough issues that impact the Opequon District and Frederick County to improve life for us all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Robin. Also from the Opequon District is Mr. Bob Wells, the current office holder. Bob graduated in 1966 from Shepherd College with a BA degree in secondary education. In 1973, he received a master's degree from the University of Virginia in educational administration. During his career, he was a teacher in Frederick County, Virginia, co-principal in Prince Edward County, Virginia, and assistant principal at Robert E. Ayler Middle School in Frederick County. He was employed for 5 years by ABEX Corporation as Director of Safety and Human Resources. He left that position to become a co-owner of Diversified Building Associates, a commercial construction company located in McLean, Virginia. After a successful 5 years in the field of commercial construction, he decided to change professions and began a career in the insulation contracting business. This career lasted 35 years. He's currently the owner, along with 2 of his sons, in a family business, Elite Insulation, Elite Concrete Lifting, and Polypro Foam LLC. Prior to being elected to the Frederick County Board of Supervisors, Bob was elected to the Stevens City Town Council and served 8 years. He was chairman of the Town of Stevens City Water Sewer Committee and a member of the Historic Architectural Committee. He served on the Stevens City Planning Commission, on which he still serves, and on the Frederick County Planning Commission. He also served on the Frederick County Board of Zoning Appeals. His wife Pauline is a retired elementary school librarian in Frederick County, a position she held for 35 years. She now serves our community by offering her volunteer services to many local organizations. They reside at their home of 50 years in the town of Stevens City. Please welcome Mr. Bob Wells.
Thank you all for having us here tonight. I really appreciate that. Josh pretty well summed me up. I've lived in Frederick County for 57 years, raised my family here, and I'm like a lot of people in this room. I'm a small business owner, and very proud of that. During my 57 years, I've served on a lot of boards, as you heard in my resume, and it's been the honor of my life for the last 10 years to represent Opequon District. I've always made my decisions based on what is best for Frederick County and to remain firm, fair, and consistent in all those decisions. This election, in my opinion, is not about the future of the Republican Party. It's not about the future of the Democratic Party. It's not about independence. What it's about is Frederick County, and that's what I'm about, Frederick County. Working on state partnerships for infrastructure projects, continuing to support our Parks and Recreations Department, supporting our emergency service providers and our Sheriff's Department, making sure that they have the facilities and equipment and manpower to protect the citizens of Frederick County. My opponent alluded to the fact of the fire department. I've worked on that fire department for years and years and years. Had I not had the resistance from the board that's currently there, I would have had a fire department a lot sooner. but sometimes it just takes time to get by. Working with our schools is another important issue, with the administration and with the school boards to make sure that all of our children receive a good education. To keep our tax rate as a tax-based, not based on what you want, but a needs-based tax rate. And I've done that in the past. I've been accused of raising taxes, but it's needs-based, and you decide those needs. It's about advocating for well-managed business and residential growth. I'm just going to bring up that some have mentioned that I've profited from being in the insulation business from all these developments that are coming up. And one of the persons said, check his record. And please go and check my record. Get it out and check it. And you'll find out that Bob Wells has not made one penny that wasn't from any of the large developers. I don't work for them. I work for the local builders that are here in our area. And I have not, in 10 years, approved one rezoning for any large residential areas or small. The current growth that you're seeing is by right and was decided by boards way before I got on the board. Check the record and you'll find that's true. I spend at least 4 hours a day dealing with county business and citizen concerns. I receive calls, texts, and emails daily, and I respond to all those within 24 hours. Check my record. My opponent has referred to me as complacent, as slow to get things accomplished. However, in the past 4 or 5 years that my opponent has lived in Frederick County, not once have I received a call, a text, or an email. I've been the representative in that area. Frederick County is the fastest growing county in Virginia, and I want to continue to be a part of making sure that we grow correctly and following a good comprehensive plan. I have the experience, but what is more important, I have the relationships with which I have worked with people to develop these relationships over the past 57 years. Please help me to achieve these goals. I'm asking for your vote on November the 7th. Thank you.
All righty. So the final office that we have is the at-large seat for chairman of the Board of Supervisors. 2 candidates are here tonight for that. And first is going to be Mr. Josh Ludwig. Josh is an aerospace engineer who has spent his career working on missile programs across the United States and overseas. He and his wife have 4 children and have been residents of Frederick County at 2 different addresses for over a decade. 2 of his children graduated from Millbrook High School. He's the grandson of a pastor and the son of a U.S. Marine and career police officer. He counts first responders heavily among his extended family. Josh was elected to the Board of Supervisors to the Shawnee District Representative in 2021. He's voted solidly conservative during that time. He supports small but efficient government with fewer regulations and lower taxes. He fought throughout the 2023 budget season against the vote by 4 supervisors to raise real taxes by more than 20%, a fight that was ultimately successful. He also cast a critical vote to provide a rebate against the bubble and automobile assessments, which was also successful. He believes that county regulations and taxes should be minimized to unleash the power of individuals and small businesses. Josh believes that the county can do more with less. In addition to cutting taxes, Josh advocated savings in other areas to keep a balanced budget, while also redirecting funds toward transportation development for the first time in more than a decade in another highly contested vote. This was very successful, gaining many times the return on investment from state and federal dollars. Frederick County will soon see the benefit in new, much-needed road projects. Josh continues to advocate for transportation solutions, including more crosswalks and trails, believing we should be thinking in terms of growing closer rather than growing larger. Josh was an early member of the Small Business Freedom Alliance, joining the first day it went public. He strenuously opposes government lockdowns and mandates, believing that constitutional rights can never be limited by pandemics or for any other reasons. Rights that can be taken away for any reason are no rights at all. Please welcome Josh Ludwig.
Thank you, Small Business Freedom Alliance, for inviting me here to speak. I was an early member. My good friend Patty Sullenberger let me know during the COVID fights and the difficulties that everyone had during that period that a group was forming to try and oppose lockdowns and other inappropriate measures. And so it was my great pleasure to keep an eye out the day they went public and click that button to join. I believe that we should have never had lockdowns. I oppose government mandates on counties and businesses, and it's outrageous that the government should pretend to be the one to decide which businesses are essential. This is wrong in every case. I don't believe government should be picking the winners or losers. We have a free market. This election is an important one in that respect. My opponent runs a business with potential interests before the county. He sits on, you've heard this from multiple speakers already tonight, from Frederick first, on how they sit on so many county boards, and he does as well. But much like him, they have to recuse themselves often when votes come up that involve their interests. So they can say they don't have a conflict of interest, but what is that? When you recuse yourself, accept an acknowledgement that you have a conflict of interest on the board you're sitting. If that's true for all these candidates, how much more is it true for them to be sitting as supervisors? Can you imagine if we had a county board of supervisors that was a majority run by developers and others with business in front of the county? Anyone who watched Loudoun County saw them fight development successfully for many years. But the moment they got a majority of people for developers in a 2-year span, all that growth you see now, virtually all of it, that ball got rolling. Sweeping rezoning and development approvals given. Let's not become Loudoun. Let's not see that here. I have no conflict of interest. I have a home and no other land. Where I work is not in this county. I believe, so what do I believe in and what I've been fighting for since I've been on the board? Well, I believe in low taxes, and I've been fighting for that, and I was successful this last year in preventing large increases in real property taxes and personal property taxes, and believe me, it was a close vote. I believe in low regulations. We are one of the most regulated counties in the valley. We can have low taxes and effective government, as we've proven, investing in roads despite lowering taxes. I want to thank this group for the work you do to protect business rights and freedoms. We need a small government, and to keep that, we need supervisors with no conflicts of interest on the board. Thank you for your time.
And our final speaker tonight, candidate also for the at-large seat and chairman, is Mr. Gary Oates. Gary is a licensed land surveyor in Virginia and Alaska, licensed professional engineer in Virginia and Alaska, and licensed realtor in Virginia. He's the owner of Gray Wolf, Inc., a surveying and engineering business, and owner of Trailer Drop, LLC, a rental company serving trucking companies. He also works as a licensed deckhand on a commercial fishing boat in Alaska for a week or two most every year for a vacation. Gary's been chairman of the Frederick Water, board member of the Frederick Winchester Service Authority, member of the Frederick County Finance Committee and Transportation Committee, former planning commissioner of 16 years, former member of the Industrial Development Authority, Historic Resources Advisory Board, Comprehensive Plans and Program Committee, former chairman of the Development Rules and Regulations Committee, Agriculture and Forestal Committee, and Board of Zoning Appeals. For family, Gary sent that he has his parents and a border collie named Joy. He tried marriage once, it didn't take. That was funny. His passions and hobbies, working, farming, and fishing. And his fun fact, he said he works every day and he's happy. Mr. Gary Oates, please.
Thank you for having me. I am running for the chairman of the Board of Supervisors. I'm a business owner, a pragmatist, an independent, and I don't give a damn about political parties or social groups. Since declaring my independence, I've been called a Republican, a rhino, a Democrat, a liberal. One idiot from Shenandoah County even called us communists. I'm Gary Oates. I have volunteered on many committees and boards in the county for over 23 years. Frederick County is a $500 million operation, and I plan to run this county like a business in order to meet your needs moving forward. The same way I ran Frederick Water for the last 8 years, despite wage inflation, cost of materials, pipes doubling, chemicals raising 400% in a single year, we still have the cheapest rates and provide excellent service. I have witnessed many budget cycles and watched the supervisors miss many opportunities to spend and invest your tax dollars wisely, simply because they do not have a strategic plan in place to guide the budget process. While some growth is healthy, you have to address the issues such as transportation, schools, sheriff, fire, and rescue. You also need to have an available workforce to have good paying jobs. Residents are much more engaged in their community if they work here. Most of you watch supervisor meetings and know it needs to be better. Those meetings are there to address the people's business, not carry out personal agendas, grudges, or attacks. I want to thank 3 people for greatly helping our campaign. Tim Stowe for telling me I can't run as an independent and win against the FCRC. Never tell me I can't do something. Dave LaRock, I've chosen not to take cheap shots like the way Democrats call Republicans homophobes and racists, but your announcement video and commercials are showing exactly what your group is about. Thank you to Sean Graber for running against the longest serving and most respected Republican in the Valley. You actually called Bill Orndorff a Democrat. You've woken up the Republican voters to pay attention this time. I truly believe you have single-handedly divided your party and pushed half of them to us. Also, thank you to the many members of the FCRC that have quietly said you're supporting me and my team. Don't worry, I won't name names, but we appreciate your confidence in us and to deliver a positive future for Frederick County. And I also want to say, Timmy French is the true Republican nominee for state senate. Frederick First has backed him before, during, after the primary, and we will continue to support him after he's elected. Our commitment to this man has never wavered. Finally, I'm ending this the same way I always do. In order to get things turned around and back on track, I need my Frederick First team. We have a plan and a focus to deliver it. Don't send me in there alone. If you support me, then vote for Greg, Kevin, and Bob if you live in their district. Thank you.